Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go.
Look at you, brother. Okay, so wait a minute. How old are you now?
36.
36, and you're looking as good as maybe you ever have. What are you tipping the Toledos at now?
I'm about 245.
245? How often are you working out?
Ballsy every day, sometimes twice a day.
Yeah, and what's the diet look like? Like, serious?
That's the biggest thing. It's the nutrition, man. It's pretty clean, meat and vegetables. I still like to dabble in the sweets, and have my fun with the treats, but 80-90% of it is pretty clean. Oatmeal every morning for breakfast with a banana in it, protein shakes throughout the day.
Yeah, that's the worst part for me is like I'm pretty good with drink. Like I've never been a drinker.
Yeah.
Never that stuff, never did any drugs in my life, but I'm a diabetic and bad DNA, and I love sweets. Like if you leave muffins or anything alone with me, like my girlfriend needs to be around me all the time, slapping my hands and stuff because
it's the treats, man. I'm the worst. Yeah. Sometimes I'll be half asleep on the couch at night. Now, as I'm walking up to bed, I'll stop in at the pantry just to put some chocolate chips in the mouth for no reason.
Okay, so I think we had our first ever matchup, and if it wasn't our first ever, it was the first in a long time of Canadian quarterbacks. Trey Ford against Nathan Rourke. Let's start with Nathan Rourke. He looks like he's got that CFL timing and rhythm back from 2022. I'm not gonna say he's an MOP. A lot of people want to anoint him yet. I like Nathan. I think he's good for the game, but he looks like he's back closer to 2022 than the NFL hangover guy we saw last year.
Yeah, certainly ballsy. He looked really sharp against the Elks over the weekend. Early in the game, the Elks, they held them to BC to 3 points at half, and the Elks defense was really firing on all cylinders. In the second quarter, the blitz was really starting to affect Rourke, and they were getting home, and that was messing him up a bit. In the third quarter, though, they really started applying the RPO game to their offense, and Rourke picked that defense apart with the RPO. He would watch that defensive end, read off of him, and then he would roll out to his right side and pick a guy in the flat, a guy sitting in a curl, or going deep down the sideline. And that's how they tore him apart in the second half.
So I'd love Trey Ford to be successful. I really would. Right now, I see a great quarterback, a great athlete, not a great quarterback. I think you tweeted it out, and I agree. I see about 3 to 5 flash plays a game where there'll be Sports Center highlights, but you can't win too many games with that kind of formula.
No, you can. It's not sustainable.
That's okay. That's okay. Hey, it's Ballsy Uncut. We let the kids in. It's fine.
Go to your room. Go to your room. Sorry.
Hey, that's fine, man. I love kids. Hey, there's one thing in broadcasting. I don't care if it's podcasting or in traditional media, which, by the way, you're a part of. Kids always win. So, what was your daughter's name there?
Sophia.
Awesome. Great name.
I had her settled too, man.
I won't keep it too long, but 3 to 5. I say 3 to 5 plays, but that's not really a formula to win.
It's not. And the thing is, we've seen these 3 to 5 plays every start since Trey's started in the league now over 20 games. What we haven't seen is, and I've been beating this drum now, this is year 4 he's been in the league, that consistent passing on 2nd and 6 to 10 yards, the long plays. That's when you need to have a quarterback back there. The athleticism is great, ballsy, but you can't depend on him rolling out, dropping back 30 yards. And once defenses scheme it up and blitz in a manner where they don't let him escape, contain, then he's really hooped. Then that's when you need to beat them inside with your pocket presence and make the right read. What I've seen so far is he'll make his first read. If it's not there, there's a bit of panic and happy feet that set in, and that's not good. You need to be able to read the whole defense and go through the progression, and we haven't seen that development. And you just even look at the numbers, it's been similar numbers going back to the past couple seasons, 18 to 21 completions, right in that range, 180 yards, about 50 yards rushing. It's been that way his whole career. So I just want to see the steps forward as a quarterback, because it's the CFL. The athleticism, the flash is great. It has me sitting on my couch smiling, grinning, thinking, wow. But at the same time, I know, having played 9 years in the league on the other side of the ball, that's not good and sustainable for winning, and it's not good because it wears the defense out when you're off of the field 2-0 consistently.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened to them there in that second half, as you were alluding to. One other thing in that game, Deontay Williams, the former Rider, Nebraska Cornhusker, he lays out that Edmonton receiver. I think it was Arkell. Anyway, he smoked the guy coming across the middle. How do you play defense anymore? You can't hit him high. You can't hit him low. You can't hit him in the middle. How about we just take the defense off the field and let him play against air? Like, honestly, it's embarrassing, actually.
It's some of the calls are embarrassing. You see some embarrassing stuff down south, too. Keeping it up here in the league, though, that was a total clean hit. Take your losses. You got the win. That was a minute left. It was garbage time, whatever. That's a penalty nobody cares about. But I'm with you, Ballsy. In a crucial point of the game, if that happens, and it's a tie ball game here down the stretch, that's a devastating penalty because that's as clean as it gets. And hate to be that guy, man, but that ball he led the quarterback, put it in a position where he got his receiver killed, man. And I'm not looking to pound on Trey, but he threw a couple really errant footballs there that put his guys in vulnerable positions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the Riders beat Ottawa. A couple of takeaways from that game. I was actually I knew they had a bit of injuries in the offensive line. Both teams did, but Ottawa's O-line it wasn't very good. And their D-line looked old and unathletic. The Riders won that game because of the O-line and D-line play.
I would totally agree with you. And, the Riders, they got banged up, hey? Mm-hmm. We're already week one. We're seeing Micah Johnson having to throw on that 57 jersey. But at the end of the day, they got through it. They won. Running back AJ, too, they signed Kadeem Carey, so that's obviously some big news out that way because how long is AJ going to be on the shelf for? What is it's his wrist, right, Ballsy?
Well, I thought it was his wrist, but people are saying it's his head, but I saw him grabbing his wrist. So my thing is it's got to be long-term, and for this reason, maybe I'm reading the tea leaves wrong, but why would you add Kadeem Carey, who's a similar back to A.J. Ouellette, who's a similar back to Bertrand Houdon, who ran tough? Like, you think if I'm the GM and I'm not, I might go for a Fletcher who's 6 years younger, who also can return kicks. He's a different kind of guy. Maybe that puts a little more pressure on Mario Alford too. Hey, now I can return kicks and be a running back. So it must be long term, and maybe Kadeem's a better blocker too. I don't know.
And now when you bring up Bertrand Houdon, man, you could feel his presence in the game, and I'd like to think that that's not just a one-hit wonder because the way he ran that ball was quite impressive, man. And then the big one taken off the board. I want to see what the kid can do. Yeah, me too. I absolutely do. One guy I think is going to emerge for the Rough Riders this year. We saw shades of it in 23. I don't know if we saw as much of it as we thought in 24, but he looked good the first game as Sam Emilus. And with KSB down now, I don't know if he's out for this game. Sam Emilus needs to take that next step, becoming an elite receiver in this league. He does. He's going to be their number one guy. He plays a favorable position with where Trevor Harris likes to throw the ball. So he's going to get a lot of balls his way, and it's a good start. The timing of it was pretty funny with the broadcast on TSN too, because they were just started to talk about Emilus being the guy. And so I forget who it was mentioning that the Riders didn't have an ace out there in their receiving core, but someone said, hold on, Sam Emilus is the guy. And then lo and behold, he ends up going off. So it's pretty cool to see. And that's a great start to the season, man.
To be honest with you, even though it was a close game, the team I was most disappointed in. I was going to say Edmonton. It's a coin flip, Edmonton or Ottawa. I expected a little more from Ottawa with Bob Dice coming out here. Let's win. We got Drew Brown threw for 400 some yards. I don't know which team was more disappointing, Edmonton or Ottawa.
Take the bias for me and the Edmonton bias away. I would say that Edmonton is more disappointing because there's so much new changes here from the owner to the president, to new GM, Mark Killam's first game out. Jordan Maximic, his first game as an O coordinator, highly touted coming from BC. So you just had that excitement to see Edmonton and, again, Trey Ford take those steps forward, and you were left kind of wanting more, that's for sure.
So here's what I don't understand. Hamilton's down 2 scores. They score a touchdown. If they kick the extra point, they're only down 8 points, but they go for 2, they miss it, they're down 9 points. Is there not somebody there that can help Scott Milanovic? Is he not smart enough? I think he is, to figure out simple math. Why would you Like, come on, man,
Yeah,
give yourself the
Ballsy,
element.
I'm with you, man. Sometimes these coaches, I can't explain the decisions. It doesn't make sense to me. It really does, especially these smart coaches like a Scott Milanovic who knows ball inside out. I can't wrap my head around it, man.
Yeah.
One thing too about the Hamilton game is Bo Levi, putting up big numbers, but it's big numbers, and he's not really in a competitive football game. So those numbers get inflated over the season, So it's not truthful numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's true, and I agree with you 100%. And they're a little lethargic to start the game. If they're that lethargic against the Riders' Corey Mace-led defense, they're going to be in trouble in Hamilton this week. On the other side, I love VA. VA's a classy dude. He's got talent, but he's good enough to keep both teams in the game at times. Do you know what I mean?
Well said. Very well said. I like that. I've never heard that one, but it's so true with him.
Yeah, like you're just thinking, this guy's rolling. Look at that pass. Oh, bad throw. Oh, bad throw. Oh, great throw. Yeah, it's kind of like the early Henry Burris, in my opinion.
It's true. Like he has these drives where he just looks unstoppable, and then plays that just no, Vernon, no, that's not the throw.
Mm-hmm. Montreal, Toronto. I wasn't shocked by that. I had Montreal winning that game. Davis Alexander wasn't spectacular, but he was solid. I think that's all he needs to be there in that situation.
Montreal's got a good thing cooking over there out east. They really, and Toronto. Who's getting who? Both those organizations, because we're in the West, we don't talk about it as much, but they're kind of dominating the CFL right now. If you look at the records over the past few years. And Montreal, they're selling out. They got really good craze going again for those Alouettes, kind of back. I remember with Anthony Calvillo and Jamel Richardson and all those guys. SJ Green were out there when they were rolling like that. So it's really awesome to see Montreal have that type of impact again. And they have a good defense, man. They have a really good defense. They're tough to beat at home.
I went behind enemy lines wearing my Bomber stuff, and I went as just kind of well, it's not unbiased because my kid's a part of the team, but I sat there for a preseason game, and from the time I got out of the truck to the time I walked to the stadium, it felt like a big-time event in Winnipeg. It felt like when Hobson was running the Riders from 2006 to 2014. It feels like it's a big event.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't always that way. Back in the 90s, they were struggling, but it'd be interesting to see this game, Chris Strevler against Nathan Rourke. No disrespect to Strevler, but BC's got the quarterback advantage. I think it'll be up to Younger's defense to maybe give that offense a couple of extra possessions in this game.
Absolutely, it is going to be up to the defense, and it's going to be hard because that BC offense, they can get rolling, and we saw that last week. Winnipeg, week 1, Brady Oliveira, I don't know, you probably would know a lot more than me. But he hasn't practiced much throughout training camp, so there might be something lingering there, and we'll see. And that offensive line is something that I'm always curious about Winnipeg. That's the straw that stirs the drink. Their success comes completely from that offensive line setting the tone in the football game, and we'll see if those boys can bring it for another year.
Well, I've made a pact with myself that I'll cover all 9 teams, but for one team, I'm going to, I do know some stuff, and I'm just not going to say it because it just wouldn't be in the best interest of my kid or me to do
I'm
that.
with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But Brady Oliveira is one of those guys. He gets better as the season goes along. We saw that last year too. I don't mind saying this. I didn't think maybe he should have been the MOP. I thought Roland Milligan should have been the MOP. I'm not saying Oliveira wasn't good, but he picked up steam as the season went along. And he's the only real guy, interesting in a passing league. He's the only guy, like the running back where the offense goes through the run game. That's how their whole thing is. No other team's built a run. They pass to set up the run.
Well, you know what it is. It's toughness, man. It's mentality. And there's a reason Winnipeg has done what they've done over the past 6 years. And it was brewing before 6 years. It was brewing. Michael Shea almost got fired after a couple of years, and then they really made a commitment to the run game, and they brought in some guys. I remember it vividly. I remember it was 2016, and that's really when the turn happened, and they started to pound guys. They had Matthias Goosen, Suk Chung, Patty Neufeld. That's when those boys really started to have that dog mentality. And because Winnipeg, you used to walk through them. It was easy the first half of my career. The second half, you had to prepare for battle. And there is no other team out there that does what they do. And it is a pure toughness thing. It comes totally from their head coach. I would run through a brick wall for Michael Shea, and I've never even played for him. because I believe in that type of culture. Like, I was a nose tackle, so I'm gritty, man. I'm a hard worker. That's all I know. And these guys, they bring their lunch pail, and they're just going to outdog you and out-physical you and make you tap out, essentially. And that's their mentality going into a game, and you see it season after season.
Well, and you're right. And I'll just add to that. I have somebody behind the walls, and it's culture, man. Culture, we use culture and hero, those words too much in society, but not when it relates to that football team. Last question for you before I let you go and deal. It's Sophia. What's the other kid's name?
Jackson
Awesome.
and Sophia.
Okay, I'll let you go be a proud dad in a second here. But here's a question for you. Should we be concerned? Calgary has all the greats there. Only 18,000 come watch. Edmonton, I don't care if it's his first year. Mark Killam's under the most heat because they got to win. Not saying he's going to get fired, but they got to win. You're a proud alum. Tradition, Double E, Dwayne Mandrusiak back. They have to win. They got to get fans in the stands. It's an Oiler town. They need to at least be on the radar. And then Saskatchewan. Yes, it was a Thursday night. I get it, but it's a home opener. Yeah. You can only use COVID excuses and Thursday night and all that stuff. They don't seem to have problems in Montreal or Winnipeg or anywhere else. I think there should be a little bit of concern if you're Stu Johnston, the new commissioner.
Without a question, there should be concern. The gates are dropping. There's no denying it. Now TV is going up, and Stu would know this. He's a TV guy. TV, I believe, is as good as it's ever been. When we talk about the financial health of the league, it's as good as it's ever been, with good stability, good ownership in place. BC, Montreal, being the ones that come to the forefront. But yeah, when you got the staples like Saskatchewan, we'll see what Edmonton draws, but the numbers will be probably bigger than what's inside the building. I've seen it. Calgary, it is concerning because it's a gate-driven league, right? And some of these stable franchises aren't drawing the crowds that they should be drawing, and they're used to drawing. Now, you win, and typically people will come. Now, that's a huge win for Saskatchewan to get that game. I've never seen a champion where they have empty seats in it. Typically a champion like Winnipeg, Montreal, they're selling out. So you win, and people will come. There's no other explanation for it. If Edmonton, for example, who's had games where it's 5,000, 8,000 people, which looks very pathetic at Commonwealth Stadium, which holds 60,000. If you win, you're not going to draw 8,000 people. If you win all your home games, people will come to see you. That's just the reality of pro sports.
Hey, real deal. Lastly, before I let you go, Oilers going to be hoisting the Stanley Cup?
Man, it's a battle now, Ballsy. That's the second period last game. Florida is aggressive. Sometimes with the pressure they put on, it feels like there's 6 skaters out there. Edmonton couldn't even get the puck out of their zone. But I truly do think that Edmonton will win it. Edmonton has a good, deep team. Tonight's going to be a battle. And, the fact that it's split, that's kind of how it should have been. It could have gone either way, and that's nice to get the split. Now Edmonton has to get the split coming out of Florida.
So lastly, though, come on, man. You're a former professional athlete. Well, Edmonton hockey fans have been spoiled. They had Gretzky and Messier. Now they got McDavid and Draisaitl. Yeah. That goal by Draisaitl set up by McDavid, that's like cheat code stuff. That's like beer league hockey, or like having an adult against 7-year-olds. And he deked out Barkov and Ekblad, not 2 bums.
Some of the best. It's remarkable. I don't know if you saw the media availability yesterday. And he was asked about it. He's so serious, just Captain Serious. He's like, I don't know how to answer that. I'm thinking Connor, man, at least give the cliche answer for the kids. Just hard work, a lot of practice. But, he's special, man. That's God-given. As hard as you can work, he's one of one in the world. And he'll go down as one of the best to ever do it.
Oh, yeah. Best offense. Well, Leon jumped in and said, I'm going to help you out. You can't teach that. You just can't teach that. You can't. Yeah. There's nothing you can do with that. Hey, man, thanks for your time. Keep working out hard. We'll have you on again.
Thanks, Ballsy.
One of the great voices in the Canadian Football League and in sports in Canada, Clint Bubba O'Neil. Did they call you Clint or they call you Bubba, man?
Well, if I hear Clint, I know I'm in trouble somewhere, somehow, right? So Bubba's been kind of a thing since like grade 11, so I'm going to go with it for as long as I can.
Okay, buddy. Bubba from CHCH TV and the Hammer. Riders coming in there. Listen, I think the most disappointing team to me is the coin flip in the first week between Ottawa and Edmonton. I did pick Calgary to win. I just thought the Vernon Adams thing and the greats being back at McMahon Stadium with the 80th birthday party push him over the top. But I was surprised Bo wasn't as dynamic as maybe I thought he'd be and playing in front of those guys.
I thought Bo got put, and in fact, just not Bo, the whole Hamilton offense got put in a kind of a crusty position. And, that was a three-facet game that was lost on special teams, defense, and offense, in my opinion. You can go into the half with the score being 11-9. And the last minute of the first half and the first minute of the second half were complete disasters. You go from being down 11-9 to 25-9. And as you well know, the game. When you're down 25-9, your offense becomes extremely predictable. Could they have been sharper? Absolutely. There was a howling wind that was going on at McMahon Stadium, and really, so of course, it's like, well, you can't run the ball. You're trying to pass. I thought a lot of Bo's passes, were sailing on him a little bit. But, he threw over 300 yards. I know a lot of it in sort of comeback time. But I think the special teams errors really discombobulated everything. And as you well know, it's always tougher when you're on the road.
So let me ask you this. How much of that is coaching? At the end of a half, at the start of the next half? You know what I mean? Sometimes coaches get too much blame and too much credit, but how much is coaching play into that? Preparedness, I guess.
Well, I'm breaking down those two plays, and I see responsibility on players. I see, a Johnny Augustine who's an 8-year CFL vet. Like, why are you letting the ball bounce? That was a short kick to start the second half that hung up in the wind. You got to catch the ball. And Augustine's been around for a long time. He knows that. Let it bounce, and of course Calgary gets it. There was certainly a bust on that what appeared to look like a fake punt. Of course, it was 3rd and 8. There was no way that was going to be a fake. It wasn't necessary. That, from what I understand, that was not the call. That was just a pure panic. What was disappointing is that we were looking at a left-footed punter that still, even though he escaped pressure, he could have, maybe punted the ball for like 20 yards or something. And you know what? You might have went into the half with a couple of kneel downs, but it gave the opportunity with that kind of yardage for Calgary to score. But to your point though, I thought it was interesting to see Coach Milanovic in our post-game conversation, and even with meeting the media after the game, is that the first thing he says is we got to coach better. So there was some responsibility that the coaches took. He took on behalf of the coaches and getting these guys ready. And it may have been for situations just like I talked about. Here's how we're going to react. This is what we're going to do.
I would consider us now, people may consider you smarter than me, but I consider us pretty smart football guys. We've been around the game a bit, right? We've never been coaches at that level. But I found it interesting. Like, if you go for one, kick the extra point, you're down 8, except you go for 2 and miss it. Now you're down 9. Now you've kind of put yourself in a bad spot. I'm not necessarily blaming Scott. I don't know if it's his decision, but gosh, there's got to be some conversation there. Like, is it too early to do this? Come on.
Well, I'm sitting there, and of course, we got Rick Zamperin and Simone Lawrence calling the game right now, and Matt Buckner, a former DB with the Ticats and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as well, too. That was one of our discussions, too, because for me, and it was kind of debated, me personally, I would have rather seen them kick the extra point, and then, you know what, then if you get the ball, then all the drama's at the end of the game. Because to me, if you go for 2 and you miss it, it's a 9-point game. There's all kinds of pressure on you. 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. How many more possessions can you get it? And then that means you got to go 2 and 2 to get to try and win the game, or at least tie the game. I didn't like the call. The coach sort of leaned to the fact that we didn't have the wind, so Calgary could have punted for a couple of singles. That was his thinking. But my immediate thought was, why are they going for 2 right now? Because I think you're putting too much of the game on the line. But that's me, and he's the coach.
So I don't know. The Riders gave up over 400 yards passing to Drew Brown, who I was kind of Drew Brown. Is he going to be the guy? Then I saw him play in the East semifinal without a running back and put up some pretty big yards and points in that shootout against Toronto. And I'm like, okay, well, it maybe got something here. He looked pretty good against Saskatchewan, running for his life. I was underwhelmed with Ottawa's offensive and defensive lines. My point is, he put up 411 yards. If Roland Milligan doesn't play, that could be a big factor in how much Bo Levi can get going here. But just your thoughts on that combination, Bo to Kenny Lawler. It's like it could work out. I think it's going to work out. It's just they got to work out some of the kinks, I guess.
Yeah, that's the first game. And you know what it's like at training camp when you're playing. First of all, you're not in full uniform. You're throwing, who's going to hurt the quarterback? Again, a lot of that to me was altered by the fact that the Ticats were down. And yes, we saw some misconnections even when the game was close. I thought that was first game jitters. But I do believe that the Ticats wide receiver core is loaded. I really believe that. Shamar Bridges played 14 games before he was hurt. He was on pace to set the CFL receiving record in terms of amount of receptions through 14 games. He had 83 in 14. Okay, you got Tim White, multiple All-Star. Lawler, we don't even need to go about him. And there's some other guys, Terrace that's going to fit in there, and a couple of guys that they're going to move in there. I think they have a great receiving core. I think this is a timing thing, but I still think the whole picture got kind of blown out and wrecked because I thought he got hot, right? But the offensive line didn't play well. I don't know when's the last time I've seen Bo on the roll, stepping up in the pocket. He was being harassed. I didn't think the tackles played very well. They're going to have to work on that to me, but I still think there is an opportunity for Bo and that offensive line. I mean, to me, that's going to be how the Ticats go, right? It's not going to be on special teams and defense. I mean, I do believe the hype that the Cats are going to win or lose or make the playoffs or not make the playoffs based on the performance of their offense.
Okay, but wait, didn't Scott Milanovich say he doesn't want Bo putting it up as much as the gunslinger mentality? My problem is watching from the outside, 35,000 feet. I don't think Bo has it in him to be Charlie Checkdown. Like, he doesn't have it in him to be Charlie Checkdown. How about you?
It depends what kind of checkdowns you're looking at, right? When it's checking down to the back, I don't think there's going to be a lot of that, or maybe there will be, right? Maybe there will be a package of screenplays that we see that throughout the season that would be more developed. The kind of checkdowns I see that Bo will fall in love with, because I think each one of those receivers has an ability to run after the pass, Lawler included. I could see a lot of 6 and 7 yard passes where guys are taking it the distance or taking it for first downs. But yeah, Bo wants to upfield the ball. Who's fooling who here? But I think a lot of those passes, and because Milanovich, I'm talking about here, has drilled it in his head to the point where Bo lost his job as a starter, don't turn the football open. Turn the football over. At least in Coach Milanovich's mind, there's always one receiver open. And sitting from where I sit in the stadium and watching a lot of those games, especially that device called the All 12, I do see it. I think he's right. There's guys that are open. Bo's got to find them. That's his responsibility.
Yeah, and that comes down to something you said earlier. He needs time. He needs to be able to go through his progressions. And a lot of times you say, why didn't he hit the open man? Because he didn't see him because he's running for his life or trying to protect himself. Yeah. So it goes back to what you said. Keep you for a couple more minutes. I had Eddie Steele on in The Real Deal. I asked him I asked The Real Deal this question, and I listen, I'm all for player safety. It goes without saying, okay? But at some point, you know what you signed up for. How do you play defense in this league? You can't hit them high. You can't hit them low. Now you can't hit them in the midsection. Bubba, why do we even have frickin' defense? Honest to gosh.
There's two things that are hurting exactly what you're talking about. To the leagues, and I'm saying the leagues in the National Football League and the CFL. Everybody loves scoring, right? I love sometimes. There's a good, especially in the NFL, there's a lot of good 13-10 games I can think about over the years, right? Where people are just slugging, physical football, right? And maybe we could say a 20-17 game in the CFL, right? Where games are just, man, when it was over, you're like, man, those guys are going to be black and blue by the end of that one. That was a slugfest. right? So you're fighting against the leagues themselves. And now they've instituted the rules to complement exactly what you're talking about in the fact that it's so hard. Could you imagine? Could you imagine being a defensive back? Now, look, I'm not going back to 1975 where guys like Kenny Atkinson were throwing were throwing forearms across and hitting guys like that across the middle. I'm not saying we go down to that, but boy, DBs, you can't touch the guy. And then amplify it in the Canadian Football League where you're dealing with wide receivers on the waggle, where you're flat-footed and guys already three-quarters speed. How on earth are you supposed to defend anyone anymore? So I'm right with you right now. When you've already got a kid that's playing football right now, and if I had a child, I'd put him on offense somehow because defense, it's a lose-lose situation.
Well, I had him playing offense. He switched the defense at UND, and now he's too far in to go back the other way, and he likes it. So, but I'm just saying, it does. If you can tackle correctly and cover, you're going to make a lot of money in this league for the window that you're in.
But Ballsy, here's the thing: can you tackle correctly?
No, you can't. Can't.
The tackling was horrible this week, but all across the board, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right.
So many angles taken the wrong way. Guys trying to tackle people its chest right now. Mm-hmm. And that all goes back. And hey, and again, I'm right with you. Player safety is paramount. But when you go through an entire 1 month of training camp and you haven't laid a lick on anyone because everyone's wearing shoulder pads and shorts, how can you learn how to be a good tackler at the professional level?
You're 100% right. And lastly, we put everything in perspective, wins, losses, completion percentage, tackling, all that stuff. When we talk about Ted Gavaya, the general manager of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the Tabbies were wearing a guitar on the back of their helmet, I believe, because he's big into music and guitars, battling aggressive cancer. Just what's the mood like around there and around the team right now?
Well, obviously I was on the Tiger Cats audio network with that game, and we were kind of, we just didn't want to really talk about it too much. But I'll be honest, from the time the news broke about that, I've known Ted since high school. We went to the same high school together. Okay. I've watched his progression go from offensive lineman at Assumption to Mount Allison, to a coach at Mount Allison, coaching the Argonauts, being a scout for all those years, the progression to being in Winnipeg, and being so happy for him because his personal life could come back to the Hamilton area, living in Burlington, growing up in Burlington, a guy that snuck into, like many of us, to Tiger Cat games as a kid. What a dream job this is, and I can only hope that the strength that I saw that guy have over all those years to climb the ladder in the football business to get the job that I thought he so well deserved. I hope he still has that strength for himself. Whether he returns or not, I could care less. I just want Ted to be okay. And it's a crusher. No one wants to hear this. We're all too young for this crap there, buddy. Right?
Yeah, you got that right. Yeah.
Right,
hey, and lastly, how do the Tiger Cats compensate for that? Does he still have his hands on it from afar, or who's taken over? Because obviously it becomes secondary, even though I know he worked his whole life to get this job.
Well, there are three guys that he brought in, guys, if you want to call them associate general managers, guys that obviously he trusts a lot. I would think Orlando Steinauer, as the president of the team, would probably take on a little bit more of the player personnel issues. Some of those guys are more on the financial ways. Some are more in the player personnel. Some are more on the scout level. I think this will become more of a conglomerate when decisions have to be made. But I think Ted right now will not be with the football team, as I'm led to believe. He's got other things to take care of right now.
Hey, and lastly, who's winning this? Are the Oilers ending Canada's drought? Are they winning the Stanley Cup? You sportscaster, you?
I think this is a great series. There's such complexities and differences between the two clubs. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I think Florida wins in 7 again.
Think so, eh?
And does so in front of Oiler fans as well too. It all sort of works. You would think, because you remember those Oiler days back in the day, knocking on the door against the Islanders, and then they learned how to win, and then got the Islanders back and ended that drive for 5. But I just there's just, I hate to say it because Stuart Skinner, I don't know the man. I've never met him.
Yep.
Really seems like a real stand-up guy.
Mm-hmm.
I just think sometimes I see him swimming a lot right? in goal, and I don't trust guys that are swimming all over the place. Where Bobrovsky, it's arguable right now that he is past Andrei Vasilevsky as the best goaltender of our time right now.
Interesting. Well, you and I used to be friends. We won't talk anymore after that comment, but that's okay. Hey, no.
Hey, we got Bouchard from Oakville in our area.
Yeah.
We got Darnell Nurse from Hamilton.
Yeah.
Right? We've got local connections in there. Henrique was just down the road in Brantford. So I want to see these guys, come to the station and bring the Stanley Cup, but
you just don't see it. You're calling it like you see it. I love it, man. Hey, check this guy out in Hamilton on TV, CHCH, and on the Tiger Cats audio network. Thanks for your time, Bubba.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, just before we wrap up this edition of Ballsy Uncut, got our CFL Power Rankings according to, yours truly. And, we're only through 1 week. But just doing the eyeball test, I got Montreal at number 1. They had a pretty methodical victory. Davis Alexander wasn't spectacular, but he didn't hurt them in his first game as quote-unquote the guy at quarterback for the Alouettes. Their defense was opportunistic and wreaking havoc against Nick Arbuckle and the Argos. I got Montreal 1. At 2, I got BC. Edmonton hung tough for a good chunk of that game, but their offense just couldn't sustain any drives. The offensive line wasn't spectacular, and eventually Nathan Rourke and his offense, along with Buck Pierce, that's going to be a great combo. Buck Pierce, the OC and head coach, and Nathan Rourke got a guy who used to play the position and, brings that exuberance and tough, hard-nosed mentality to that BC Lions team. Comes over there from Winnipeg, and you got Nathan Rourke, who looks like he's back to CFL rhythm and timing. So I got BC at number 2. That's going to be a good game this week, BC and Winnipeg. Number 3, I got the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They did sustain some injuries. Of course, they signed Kadeem Carey, which is a good signing for them. Although I was kind of surprised they didn't go after Walter Fletcher. Like I said, he can return kicks and be a running back, and he's younger than Kadeem Carey by 4 years. But maybe Kadeem Carey's a little more of a... Well, he is a hard-nosed runner, kind of like A.J. Ouellette, but... that would signal that Ouellette's probably out for a bit, because why, in my mind, would you have the same kind of running back? Thomas Bertrand-Houdon, Kadeem Carey, A.J. Ouellette. So you got Carey there. Maybe he's a bit better of a blocker. I'm not sure, but it's not a bad signing by the Rough Riders, but they did lose some other guys in that Ottawa game. So it'll be interesting to see as the week progresses, they get ready to take on the Tiger Cats in Hamilton, how healthy they are for that one. Never easy to win in Hamilton. And first of 2 in a row out east for the Riders, Hamilton and then in Toronto. And yes, they do plan to come back between those games, not stay out there like Chris Jones used to do when he ran the Rough Riders. So I got the Riders at 3. I got the Bombers, who didn't play, at 4. They've got a tough test against the BC Lions coming into Winnipeg. It'll be a sold-out game. Oh, look at that. Sold out on a Thursday. Can't use that excuse. So the Bombers... we'll have Chris Strevler at quarterback because Zach Calaro suspended the 1 game to start the year. If I'm picking based on quarterbacking, I'm going with probably BC in that game because Nathan Rourke, I think, is a better quarterback than Chris Strevler, who's limited at quarterback but a really good athlete, and they like him there. Good leader of men. But I'm not putting in my Ballsy's best bets as of yet, but yes, going to probably lean towards BC in that game. But I got Winnipeg number 4 in my power ranking. Number 5, Calgary. Calgary's in Toronto this week. VA had some flashes of brilliance, some other passes he'd like back, like I said earlier in the show. Vernon Adams Jr. is a talented guy who's been unable over the long haul to hold on to a starting job. I hope he does here. He's good enough at times to keep both teams in the game. At number 6, I don't know. I guess I go with Ottawa because even though their lines were underperforming in that game against the Riders in week 1, Drew Brown had a good game, although he is limited this week with an injury. So that'll be interesting to see if he plays or Crum, whoever lines up under center there or in the pistol or shotgun formation behind the center there for the game this week. But yeah, I got Ottawa at number 6. 7th best team, I guess Edmonton. They hung in there. Trey Ford gives you some flash plays, some highlight reel plays. I want to see better 4 to 8 yard passes, 4 to 12 yard passes, more accuracy, better processing, because that's not a winning formula. He has all the intangibles to be a starting quarterback. Can he put it together? Right now, like I said, I see a great athlete, not necessarily a great quarterback. So I've got Edmonton at 7. I thought Hamilton was underwhelming at 8. I'll put them at 8 right now. They played in a kind of wonky conditions in Calgary with that gale force wind. Bo Levi Mitchell, his passes were sailing a bit. They need that line to block a bit better for him. It's going to be interesting to see if Roland Milligan suits up or not for the Rough Riders in this game. I expect him to, but if he doesn't, Bo Levi Mitchell might have his way with the Rough Riders secondary because he is a leader back there, Roland Milligan. CJ Avery's hobbling around too. I think I heard somewhere he's added to the 6-game injured list. So Riders having some injury problems. So I got Hamilton at number 8, and at number 9, I've got the Toronto Argonauts. They looked, the Grey Cup champs looked underwhelming. No Chad Kelly. I don't know if they were ever really a threat in that game against Montreal. It's 22-3. I think they got it to 22-10, and then it was 28-10 for the Alouettes in that game. So I got a very underwhelming first week for the Argos, and they're at number 9. So Montreal 1, BC 2, Saskatchewan 3, Winnipeg 4, Calgary 5, 6 Ottawa, 7 Edmonton, 8 Hamilton, 9 Toronto. What say you? Hit me up in the comments section. Hey, lists are made to be debated and talked about, not necessarily the gospel. That's my opinion. Although I will say, we often call this the gospel according to Ballsy, and I usually think I'm right. Anyway, that'll do it for today's installment. Keep watching. We're going to have more this week. And, of course, look over my shoulder there. The Our Balls Are Bigger postgame show following the Riders and the Tiger Cats from Steeletown. Myself and former CFLer and NFL great Kyrie Zaber will take your calls, your telephone calls. Hit us up and, be pleased to talk some football with you. Not just Riders football, but any CFL football. This is Ballsy Uncut.